Hello there, McKnox here, and welcome back to my channel. If you clicked on this video, now you're looking to make this, my Highland Cow. And real quick, before we begin, please don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and share, and leave a comment down below telling me what else you'd like to see. Now, if you've been a crocheter on the internet for a while, I'm sure that you've seen pictures like these. If you went and bought one of these patterns, then I'm sure you realize that what you got is not all what is shown. That's because these images were made with AI, and I want to show you some of the telltale signs so they don't end up falling for these scams. You can of course just proceed to the video. There's a timestamp on screen. One of the trademark ways to tell is that they have a very glossy and almost uncanny valley look to them. There's something that's just not quite right there, especially when you look at it compared to pictures of other crochet projects. Now, one of the other telltale signs is of course the stitches. You can see here that the stitch is rather smooth and it does not have that V form that you get from creating stitches. That honestly is the easiest way to tell. Now on top of that, you'll notice that shadows are kind of out of place. The lighting is very off. Another way to tell, if you're really not sure, if there's more than one picture, there's going to be little discrepancies between the products. So look for those as well. So hopefully this helps you out so that you don't make this mistake. And with that being said, let's get started. For today's project, I will be using a 3.5mm hook because I'm using a 4-weight yarn. When making amigurumi, I often use a hook that is 0.5mm smaller than my yarn weight for tighter stitches. And then of course you're going to need your usuals, your scissors, tapestry needle, stuffing. For this project, a stuffing set can be really helpful. And then of course you're going to need a pair of eyes and their eye backs. For yarn, I'm going to be using a golden brown for the body, a dark brown for the hooves, a beige for the hair. You can use the body color for this as well, but for me this is what I'm picking. Also, a ram for the horns. White or an off-white will work for this as well. And then a couple of strands of black yarn for the nostrils. Alright, let's grab our hook and get started. Starting with the head, I'm going to make a magic circle of 6 single crochet. Now, if you find the magic circle difficult, you can of course use the chain method. Then, I'm going to put 2 single crochet to every stitch. At the end of the round, you should have 12 stitches. Insert your stitch marker. For the next round, we're going to increase to 18 stitches. Start with a single crochet, and then make an increase. Do this 5 more times, and you should have 18 stitches. Keep moving your stitch marker at the end of every round. For this next round, start with 2 single crochet, and then increase. Repeat that 5 more times and you will have 24 stitches. Increasing to 30 stitches, I'm going to start by making 3 single crochet and then increase. Repeat this 5 more times. Now I'm going to increase to 36. Start with 4 single crochet and then increase. Repeat this to the end of the round. For our last round of increasing, we're going to start with 5 single crochet and then increase. Repeat that 5 more times. For the next 3 rounds, just put a single crochet into every stitch. You should have 42 stitches total. Move your stitch marker at the end of every round. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to grab a second stitch marker. I'm going to leave this one right here where it is. This will be the round that we insert our eyes, so that stitch marker is just to let us know where to put them. So for the next 6 rounds, just put a single crochet into every stitch. Don't forget to move your stitch marker at the end of every round. I've made my last round of single crochet. I have 9 total. Now I'm going to pause here and insert my eyes. I'm going to put that first one in the same round where that first stitch marker is. Then I'm going to count over 9 stitches and insert my eye in the 9th stitch. Once they're in place, I'm going to snap my eye backs on. Now we're going to start decreasing, and I'm going to start by making an invisible decrease. I'll show you how to make it, but if you find it too difficult, just decrease whatever way is comfortable for you. And to start, I'm going to push my hook into the front loop of that first single crochet, but I'm not going to yarn over. Instead, I'm going to push my hook into the front loop of the next stitch, grab that yarn and pull it through those loops, pull it up. I have 2 loops on my hook, and then yarn over and pull through. And that is the invisible decrease. Then make 5 single crochet. Repeat these steps 5 more times and you will have 36 stitches at the end. This next round, I'm going to start with 4 single crochet and then make an invisible decrease. Repeat this 5 more times and you'll have 30 stitches around. This round, I'm starting with my decrease and then I'm making 3 single crochet. Repeat this to the end of the round and you'll have 24 stitches. Fasten off and leave a tail for sewing. At this point, you want to start firmly stuffing your head. Rolling it on the table and between your palms will help to evenly distribute the stuffing. Don't worry about stuffing it too much right now because you can stuff it more when you sew it onto the body. Just make sure to get deep into the project and into the sides. And when you're done, we'll start the body. And to start, we're going to make a magic circle of 6 single crochet. Now increase to 12 stitches. So put 2 single crochet into every stitch and insert your stitch marker. Increasing to 18 stitches, start with a single crochet and then increase. Repeat this around and at the end you will have 18 stitches. Going from 18 to 24, start with 2 single crochet and then increase. Repeat this 5 more times. This round, start with 3 single crochet and then make an increase. Repeat this to the end of the round and you'll have 30 stitches. Start with 4 single crochet and then increase. Repeat this 5 more times and you'll have 36 stitches. For the next 8 rounds, you're just going to put a single crochet into every stitch around. You should have 36 stitches. Move your stitch marker at the end of each round. This round, we're starting with a decrease and then make 10 single crochet. Do this 2 more times and you will have 33 stitches. Now I'm going to start by making 9 single crochet and then a decrease. I'll repeat this 2 more times, and at the end of the round, have 30 stitches. For this next round, just put a single crochet into every stitch. Okay, so now we're increasing back to 33 stitches. So start with 9 single crochet and then make an increase. Repeat that 2 more times. Increasing to 36, start with 10 single crochet and then make an increase. Repeat that twice more. For this round, start with 8 single crochet and then make an increase. We will repeat that 3 more times and at the end have 40 stitches. Okay, so for the next 7 rounds, just put a single crochet into every stitch. Make sure to move your stitch marker at the end of every round. You want to pause here and start stuffing your project. Make sure to get it down deep into the bottom and into the sides. Be very careful of not overstuffing it or you will stretch your stitches. I end up doing this and remaking my cow head and body, but ultimately most of your cow is going to be hidden by the hair anyways, so do keep that in mind. Continue to stuff your project as you crochet. This round, we're decreasing back down to 36. Start by making an invisible decrease, and then make 9 single crochet. And repeat that 3 more times. I'm starting this round by making 4 single crochet, and then a decrease. Repeat that 5 more times, and you will have 30 stitches around. Now, start this round with a decrease, and then make 3 single crochet. Repeat this around, and you will have 24 stitches. For this round, start with 2 single crochet, and then a decrease. Repeat this 5 more times, and you'll end your round with 18 stitches. Okay, start this round with a decrease, and then make a single crochet. Repeat this all the way around, and you will have 12 stitches. For our last round, we're just going to make 6 decreases. If you have trouble making all 6, that's totally fine. Do the best you can. When you're done, fasten off and leave a tail for sewing. Now's the time to add any last little bit of stuffing. Here the stuffing stick can really come in handy. And to close up my project, I'm going to thread that tail onto my tapestry needle. Then I'm going to skip this first stitch right here, go to the next one, and push my needle into the front loop of that stitch. And give the yarn tail just a little bit of a tug. From there, you can just crisscross the needle back and forth. When you're finished, hide the tail inside of your body. And don't worry about how it looks back here because it's going to be covered up by the hair anyways. Okay, so now we're going to sew the head on. And all you have to do is place at the front of your body about so, and then sew it into place. Since the neck area is going to be covered by the cow's hair, you don't have to worry too much about being precise or neat about this. Okay, so now we're going to make the legs, and you're going to take your dark brown and make a magic circle of 7 single crochet. Now we're going to increase to 14 stitches. So just put 2 single crochet into every stitch around and insert your stitch marker. For the next 3 rounds, we're just going to put single crochet into every stitch. However, at the end of the 3rd round, we're going to swap colors. So pause there. Okay, I'm at the end of my 3rd round. I'm at my last stitch. So to change colors, what I'm going to do is I'm going to push into that stitch, pull up a loop, but then stop. I'm going to take my main color, I'm going to attach it to my hook, I'm going to pull it through those 2 loops and finish my single crochet. Now I'm going to chain 1. This chain does not count as your stitch. You're just going to put a single crochet into every stitch. You should have 14 stitches. When you get to the end of your round, skip over that chain 1 and slip stitch into that first single crochet that you made. At this point, take those 2 tail ends, knot them together tightly, and cut them short. Now insert your stitch marker. For the next 3 rounds, just put a single crochet into every stitch. Move your stitch marker at the end of every round. I just finished my 3rd round. In the next 7 stitches, I'm going to make a half double crochet. After I finish that last one, I'm going to chain 1 and turn my work. In the next 2 stitches, I'm going to make a half double crochet. Then, in the 3 after, make a double crochet. And in the last 2, make a half double crochet. Fasten off and leave a tail for sewing. Now just make 3 more of these. To attach a leg, this flap right here is made to sew against the side of the body, with a semicircle of the leg attached to the underneath. You don't have to be too neat when you sew these legs on either. Most of it is going to be hidden by the hair anyways. I sewed my legs on with a little bit of a bend inwards, but it's completely up to you how you do yours. Just make sure that when you're sewing your legs on that they line up with each other. Setting the cow down can help to make sure that he is standing properly. Take your time and be patient. You can add a little more stuffing before you finish sewing them on. Alright, let's move on. And now we're going to make the mouth. So I'm going to take my Aran and I'm going to chain 7. However, I'm going to leave my starting tail very long. And the reason for this is I have trouble working to both sides of my chain, and so I often end up with gaps. And I'll be using that tail to sew these gaps up. You'll see what I mean later. Alright, skip that first chain, put a single crochet into the next 5. In the last chain, make 3 single crochet. Now I'll be working into the other side of my chain. Be careful not to skip over that first stitch. Put a single crochet into the next 5. Into the last one, make an increase. You should have 14 stitches. If you have 13, then put another single crochet into that increase that you just made, and then insert your stitch marker. Alright, in the next stitch, make an increase, then put a single crochet into the next 4 stitches, Follow this up with an increase. Then a single crochet. And another increase. Then put a single crochet into your next 4 stitches. Followed by an increase. And then a single crochet into the last one. We're going to pause here, and I'm going to thread that inner tail onto my tapestry needle. Then, flipping over my mouth, you can see here this line of gaps from where I crocheted into both sides of my chain. I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to push it into a back loop just beside that first gap. I'm going to cross over that gap into another back loop and give it a little tug, and then round back and do it to the next one. I'm going to repeat this up the line until my last gap. At the last one, I'm going to push my needle through that loop, cross over, but I'm not going to tug that yarn through just yet. Instead, I'm going to push my needle through this loop of yarn right here, and then I'm going to tug it down to knot it, and then cut it short. And that's how I close up the gaps when working into a chain. For this next round, start by making 5 single crochet, and then increase. Repeat this 2 more times, and at the end, you should have 21 stitches. For the last round, just put a single crochet into every stitch around. At the end of that round, you're going to skip over the next stitch and slip stitch into the one after. Fasten off and leave a tail for sewing. Now, when it comes to sewing the mouth on, you may want to use pins to help keep it in place. I didn't end up doing this, and it took me 4 tries to make the mouth and sew it on. Here, I just end up holding it in place. Again, just have some patience and take your time. And the way that I'm sewing it is I'm going to push it into a stitch and into the head. I'm going to come out 2 stitches over and then come up, round back around, 1 stitch back, go in again, and come out 2 stitches over. And I'm just going to repeat this process. However, about halfway through, I'm going to pause there, and I'm going to grab my strands of black. Threading one of those strands onto my needle, look at my mouth. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go up 1 round above where that chain is. Then I'm going to count over 2 stitches and go down 1 and push it through. And this will make a diagonal line. I'm going to take those 2 ends, I'm going to knot them together, but I'm going to be careful not to knot them too tightly. Once that's done, make the second nostril and then return to sewing your mouth on. And once I've completed that, I'm going to take my yarn tail out somewhere in the head, and I'll be using a tail from one of the horns to hide it later. Okay, so moving on to the horn, I'm going to start with a magic circle of 4 single crochet. Then, put an increase into the next stitch. Followed by a single crochet, another increase, and then finish with a single crochet. Insert your stitch marker. For the next 3 rounds, just put a single crochet into every stitch. Start this next round with an increase into the next 2 stitches, and then single crochet into the last 4. Make sure to move your stitch marker at the end of every round. For your next round, just put a single crochet into every stitch. Okay, so this time we're going to start by making 2 single crochet, then an increase, and then another 2 single crochet, and another increase. Finish the round with 2 single crochet. You should now have 10 stitches. For this round, make 2 single crochet, then an increase, followed by a single crochet, then another increase, and then 1 single crochet. We have 4 stitches left, and we're going to make 2 invisible decreases. You should still have 10 stitches. Okay, so now we're going to start with 4 single crochet, then an increase, followed by 3 single crochet, another increase, and end the round with a single crochet. You will have 12 stitches. Start this round with an increase, then a single crochet, another increase, and then another 2 single crochet. Now make a decrease, then a single crochet. Now make a decrease, and finish your round with 2 single crochet. For the last round, start with a single crochet, then an increase, another single crochet, and now make a decrease. Then 2 single crochet, another decrease, and then another 2 single crochet, and end your round with an increase. You should have 12 stitches. Fasten off and leave a tail for sewing. Make 2 of these and stuff them. Sewing the horns on is easy enough. You just gotta figure out where you'd like to place them, and make sure that this curvature is facing the right way. You'll want to leave at least 5 stitches between your eyes and your horns, because we'll be adding ears and hair to the side of the horns here. And again, don't worry about how your sewing looks. We'll be adding hair around the horns and face. When you're done, knot and hide your yarn tails. And at this point, you can also use one of the horn tails to hide that mouth one as well. Okay, so our last bit of crocheting are the ears. Start with a magic circle of 6 single crochet. You're not going to need a stitch marker. In your next stitch, make an increase. Then 2 single crochet, another increase, and finish with 2 single crochet. So for the next 2 rounds, you're just going to put a single crochet into every stitch. So just count 16 stitches. When you're done, fasten off and make a second one. And to sew on the ears, I'm going to start by flattening my ear at that corner here where I fastened off. I'm going to thread that tail onto my needle, and I'm just going to go back and forth through the 4 pairs of stitches. When that's done, I'm going to come over to my horn. I'm going to start sewing my ear on just in front of the horn. I'm going to line up the top tip where the base of the horn is sewn onto the head. When you're done, sew the second one on and hide your yarn tails. Phew! Okay, so the crocheting is done, and now the tedious part begins. Adding the hair. You want to cut strands of yarn about 3 inches long. It's a lot easier to attach and knot those strands if they're a bit longer. You can always trim them later. I recommend using the tapestry needle because your stitches are going to be very tight and very difficult to work in. You're going to need to be patient. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take those 2 ends of my strand, I'm going to thread them through my needle, and then I'm going to come over here to my leg where I sewed it onto the body, and I'm not going to go through the leg and the body. I'm just going to go through the stitches on the leg. Now, this ended up being a lot harder than I thought it would be, and there was a few points that even used my pliers. If you're really struggling with this, or if you just want to make it easier on yourself, I would actually recommend attaching your yarn tails 1 round above your legs. It really won't make a difference. So just push your needle through 1 stitch and out the next, but don't pull the yarn all the way through. Round your needle back, push it through that loop, pull that knot down tightly, and give those ends a good tug. And then from there, I ended up inserting and knotting my strands, going from a line from one leg to the other. Now, it's not going to be a perfect line, and that's fine. Again, you're not going to see it, so just do this all the way around the body, and then we'll take it from there. So I end up cutting my ends here really short. This layer right here is going to be my underneath, and it's really kind of meant to be there to fill in any gaps and to bulk out my cow just a little bit. You can always trim your ends later on after you've inserted all of the hair. Now, I want my cow to be very bulky, so I'm going to start inserting my strands up into the next round. If you don't want yours to be as bulky, then skip 1 round and go up to the next one. Either way, I will meet you at the end when I'm done inserting my 3rd round of hair. So as you can see here, I've already started trimming up my hair. I want my cow to have shorter strands and be a bit bulkier, but again, this is your project, so just have some fun with it. But I want to pause here and show you how to make the tail and the hair around the face. So to make the tail, you want to take 5 long strands of yarn. I'm going to come around to the back of my cow. I'm going to find the middle here, 1 round above that last layer I just did. I'm going to thread the 2 ends of the long strand onto my needle. I'm going to push it through those 2 stitches and knot it. However, for the next 2 strands, I'm going to put them into the same spot. So they're going to go through the same 2 stitches as that first one. For my last 2 strands, I'm going to go up 1 stitch and put them both through the same 2 stitches. Make sure to tug those ends tightly. And as you can see, there's a bit of a hump here to show where the tail is. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick apart these strands to make my tail more distinguishable. And I'll cut my strands to my desired length. Alright, so now I'm going to show you how to do the hair around the face. So I'm going to take a strand, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to insert it in a downwards motion right next to my ear right here. And then I'm going to attach it. I'm going to take another strand, attach it in the same downwards motion right next to that one. Then I'm going to take a third one, and I'm going to attach it sideways across those two strands. And that just kind of fills it out on the side a little bit. Now, because the hair around the face is a little more sparse, I'm actually going to skip this next round, and I'm going to go to the one above it. And this is where I'm going to make my cow's bangs. Now as I go along and work, I will add more strands to that skipped round to fill it out where I feel like it needs it, but I'm not going to go overboard. And then cut my bangs to the desired length. And as I insert and attach more strands, further down the back of the cow's head they go, the less I'm going to trim them so that they blend into the body. Again, this is your cow, so just do the hair however you like. Have some fun with it. It is a lot easier to add hair than it is to remove it. So start off kind of sparse and add more as you desire. While this project did take a lot of work, I really do think he came out really cute. Have some fun with styling your cow. And that's it. That's the video. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. That's how you make my version of the Highland Cow. Before you leave, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and share. And while you're at it, why don't you go and check out one of these other videos? I think you might find this one in particular very interesting. This has been McKnox, and I'll see you soon.